Welcome to the Crowd
Control.
Podcast.
Pretty good. Pretty good. Not
Yeah.
bad. Not bad for our first try.
Yeah. I mean, we wanted to add some spice in there, right?
Definitely.
So not bad. Okay, so we're finally recording our very first episode.
Well, not the first, but
Yeah.
that was a trailer.
Before we get too ahead of ourselves, let's actually introduce ourselves. So, I'll be your moderator for today. My name is Dennis Lee.
My name is June.
And I am Kevin Jong.
Okay, and we'll be the members of this panel, this podcast for the foreseeable future. Hopefully,
Hopefully.
depending on
The many
Maybe-
years to
yeah.
come.
Maybe.
hopefully.
Unless
Fingers crossed.
someone quits.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
But
Once again, our viewers, we're depending on you.
okay, so first episode. How does it feel?
I can't believe we're finally here, like sitting in this chair. It took so long to prepare for our first episode. Even after our trailer about a week ago, but still.
Probably a few days ago.
Yeah.
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 It's gonna be released a few days ago
Yeah.
for viewers who are listening to this right now. I mean, but we're actually getting to the meat of what this podcast is about.
Yeah, the
you know?
main dish, basically.
Exactly.
And boy, I gotta say that right now the gaming industry, there's a lot to talk about.
Exactly. There's lots of controversy, lots of games, so there's no lack of topics we can talk about.
It's a good time for the gaming industry in the 2019. There's great games on many forms of
Exactly.
platforms of consoles and
Many
also-
types of games as well.
Right. So
A bonfire.
What? Okay.
Bonfire
The
for
word for the
games,
day
guys.
today is bonfire. That's the word of the day.
Make sure you write that down.
Okay, so let's really get into what whole reason we're doing this podcast, which is let's start with games. The games we've been playing the past few weeks or so.
For
And-
me, a few days. But-
Okay, so let's start off with you,
Yeah,
June.
let me start.
Okay.
So, I've actually been playing a game called Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I'm pretty
Mhm.
sure everyone here has heard of it.
For people who don't know, give like a short introduction of what's Odyssey.
So, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, as you can tell by the name Odyssey, it's a freaking long journey.
Mhm.
I can just say it jumps over all its predecessors of Assassin's Creed games. And it creates this whole vast open world game where you're able to go into this Greek, play out these Greek mythologies and a story based on in the setting of the Peloponnesian War. And for those of you who don't know what the Peloponnesian War is, it's basically in this game itself, it's focused on the war between Sparta and Athens, a two faction that we all love to play. For example, one of the most famous are the hoplites that I personally really love. And coming from my last playthrough, which was my last entry into the Assassin's Creed, was from the Black Flag, which was around the pirate theme. And I loved it because it had a lot of ship playment. And now this game, Odyssey, jumps over that and adds in a lot of variety of like storylines, quests, and ship plays that you're able to play for hours and hours on end. So there's a few things I do want to touch upon. The first one is the story. And the story, all the side quests and the main quest, I would like to compare a little bit to A Witcher 3. Is because when I played The Witcher 3, I kind of believe that all the side quests and main quests were all equally important. You don't only play the main quest. The side quests were all just... It was all connected to all the main quests. And I certainly believe that a lot of the side quests within Assassin's Creed Odyssey was so interesting that I lost and sunk in countless of hours just playing the side quest itself. The second part is the combat system. I had my doubts and my problems with the Black Flag because after a few playthroughs, it became quite mundane and boring.
It is like you just basically counter every attack.
Right.
You just wait for them to attack.
You just wait for them to attack, and there was not a lot of button pressing. And coming from a WoW player, I need my buttons.
Right.
Right? I need my buttons because there's not a lot of buttons.
It's very passive
Right.
gameplay, right?
And even the ship playing, there's only a few things you can do. It was fun, no doubt, but you fire your cannons, you board, and when you board, it's always the same thing, right? So I got kind of bored of it after, I don't know, 30 hours,
Oh.
which is pretty
Oh,
good.
30 hours.
I mean, 30
That's
hours
very
is
short.
technically only one
I mean, that's
day.
surprising because Black Flags caught my interest from start to finish. I think
Right.
I played like 50 hours of this, and I wasn't bored.
Mhm.
Like not 1 hour. But
Maybe
yeah, but-
some people
yeah,
might not be
exactly,
bored.
exactly.
But man, Odyssey is just so big. I've been playing, I think, nonstop. Some stops for bathroom breaks and
Okay,
whatnot.
right.
Just
Of
bathroom
course. I mean,
breaks.
But
you-
as a true Asian, no sleep. And I've been playing for 20 hours. And mind you, I bought the game like 3 days ago.
right.
So 20 hours in 3 days is a whole damn lot.
Yeah, but-
But the combat system is something I really want to talk about, is because they brought the whole RPG element into it, which means you can level up your skills, you can level up different kind of skills, and there's 3 different classes that technically you can choose from, which is the warrior, the assassin, and the hunter. And of course, the hunter bases their as the rotations around bow and archery.
Like the gameplay of Odyssey is sort of like a evolution from Origins, right? Because
Right.
Origins was one that shifted Assassin's Creed from like
right,
what we know of it into like this RPG game
right.
with like levels and
But
gear.
It's much more.
Yeah.
It has much more depth.
I think it's like
especially
they
the combat.
refined it more for
Because
Odyssey.
I personally believe, I haven't played it, but I heard the Origins combat system looks cool on paper, but it's very shallow,
Okay.
and especially the bow play. But here they've actually upgraded that, so you're able to go into the bows and pick up these skills that you specifically want for your build. And for example, if you don't think it's working out for you, you can always reset. But it's just paying a few. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this properly, but drachma,
Okay.
which is like the in-game currency of the Odyssey
Right.
game. So I went for the assassin's route, where you're able to assassinate targets. You're able to creep silently. I use poisons.
hmm
And in this game, you're able to have at least 8 skills that you can use. And it revolves around adrenaline, which you get by hitting targets or blocking, which is a very good game mechanic. And you can sneak around. You can go the direct route, which is, just going full out and killing forts. Or you can sneak around like I do and try to take out people you do need to only take out. And then there's the whole mechanic of a mercenary. So technically you are a mercenary, but there are other mercenaries who try to kill you. So I think this was a little in the previous games as well. But when you kill civilians or steal or get caught doing illegal things, what happens is there's a meter that kind of fills up.
Yeah. Like you're like so notoriety.
Right, your notoriety.
So like it's like a bounty system.
Right, it's like a
Mm.
bounty system.
Oh, wait, couldn't be a bounty system.
It technically is, because in this world, it's kind of the mercenary world.
Hmm.
So you're a mercenary, and so there's a lot of different mercenaries on top of you and below you.
It's like a ranking.
It's like a ranking
Okay.
from like rank 8 to rank 1, and each rank has specific perks. For example, rank 8 is just like you're a nobody, and then rank 7 is like the blacksmith admit you're pretty good at it, so they give you like a 50% discount. And then it goes up and up and up until the first rank is like you ride this horse that no one else is able to ride because you're so good at it. And when you get to a certain point of bounty, for example, there's 1, 2, and 3, 4, I believe. Or no, there's I think up to 5 or 6, but I've only gotten up to like 3. And then these mercenaries will constantly just keep coming at you. The higher your bounty is, the more higher the level of mercenaries that come at you, usually like 3 or 4 levels above you. And the thing about Odyssey is that when they are 3 or 4 levels above you, it's really hard to kill them. It's really hard. So a lot of people have been saying there is a grind to it, is because when you try to go into a place and then the place is at least 2, 3 levels above you, you can't. It's not efficient. So you have to do side quests. But I never felt like I was pushed to the side quest because it was so integrated into the whole main quest. And then, so there's the combat. And then there's the whole ship mechanic, which is you can also have your own ship. You can upgrade your ship, and you can hire lieutenants that gives you buffs to your ship. And you can upgrade your ship to fire arrows, ramming damage. And boy, the ramming is really fun. So you should always get into it. So
Oh, in Black Flag, I used to love ramming
Exactly,
ships.
but
yeah.
because this is based around Greek mythology, their whole naval tactic was they don't have cannons,
Yeah.
obviously, so we don't have the whole splinter effect when you shoot cannons. But what you can do is you can time it, and then you say row, and all the rows like just hella roll, right? And then
So you said roll, right? there's supposed to be people rowing the boat. Do you have
Right.
to hire people for that?
No.
Or is it by
that's-
default?
That slaves are everywhere.
Oh.
No, but like in the game, do you
No. You don't
upgrade
have-
rowers or
it-
it's just there?
Oh, you can.
It's very. Oh,
It-
this is like a very
it's
fragile
funny
ground
because
here. We
there's no
shouldn't
way
be-
of feeding your rowers,
Oh.
Sure, but
but who needs to feed them, right?
yeah.
But you can upgrade their power or like the duration,
Okay.
so they become more bulky as
Okay.
they're like a haul, right?
If you get more ripped,
You see them working out on the
Yeah,
oars.
they're always working out.
yeah, making do some bicep curls.
Yeah, I mean, so when you like press forward,
Yeah.
man, the ship suddenly like spurges on, and then you try to ram them in the middle of the boat because that's where they're weak at. So, but you can't row for a long duration, of course.
Right, makes
So-
sense.
But
But-
what's the variety on the ships? Like, are there like different ships? Like, let's say like frigates or like a smaller like fishing boats.
Oh, there
or-
are different variety, but one as you're already a combat boat. I don't. I mean, you don't want to start with a fishing boat, right?
But can you? Can you? That's the
no,
question. Oh,
no, you
that
can't
is-
start with a fishing boat.
I am disappointed.
You already start with this naval boat, and then you upgrade that into a massive boat
Mm.
with a little more stronger ramming power, better lieutenants, better soldiers on top on the deck, and then the whole RPG mechanic kind of plays into this because you can hire different lieutenants that you can see across the map, so you can knock them out and hire them into your ships, and there's this whole because the Greek times were filled with political rife, right? There were different people moving in the shadows, and then there's this cult, and you're supposed to take out this cult, but you can't find them. You don't know who they are because they're all hiding behind masks. So as you're playing the game, you find these clues as to who they are, and you start from the outer skirts, and you try to move into the main people who are controlling. And these cult, they have their fingers on everything. They're controlling every single thing in the Greek world. So you're trying to take them out, and as you take them out, you get, of course, better equipment like legendaries, and you can upgrade your legendaries, and you can switch out your legendaries for better stats. So I just believe it's just a great game where it just combines the whole RPG mechanic with the open world, and my God, it's a huge open world. I barely finished 2 islands.
And the game looks amazing too, right?
It's amazing. I mean, the funny thing is, you can take pictures in the game.
Right. I
And
think
then-
that's like the new trend nowadays in modern gaming.
Right,
You-
and
like a
Just
picture
take a
mode.
good
right,
view.
the picture. I
make it
didn't
look-
know
yeah.
about it, but when I was looking on my map request, I saw this little icons, and I'm like, "What is this?" And I clicked on it, and I saw it was pictures taken by other people, and you can actually like it. At first, I liked it, and then I found it was annoying because it was obscuring my other icons, so I took it out. But I made sure to post in a few of my own pictures in there just to show the world that I'm here.
In photo mode, can you like change the pose of the main character?
Um,
Because there are a lot of games where you can do
I
that.
feel like the trolling will be really real. real
I
if that-
haven't
if
tried
was
that yet,
possible.
but when you try to take a photo in like this beautiful world, I don't think a lot of people won't troll. A lot of people will try to capture the moment that is beautiful.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So
I mean,
that's what I
That's
did.
the sarcastic.
That's the best
yeah.
case scenario.
For
That's
example,
the idea.
The ideal world.
what I did was I would wait until the sun set on top of a mountain,
Mhm.
and I took a picture.
Oh,
Mm.
for waiting for the
I mean,
perfect
you
shot.
have to line up the shot.
Of course, the contrast, the
Right,
lighting,
right.
the
So it's-
like the
It's-
aperture.
It's much more important than the
Yeah.
RPG,
Mm,
the,
yeah.
the photo
Right.
taking.
Right. That's why people play the game.
I mean,
to take
yeah.
photos.
Isn't that why you pay $60?
Exactly.
It's because you want to take
Yeah.
photos.
Yeah.
So what's your initial impressions? It's very strong. You're
Oh man, I only played 20 hours. I heard it's 100 hours strong.
yeah.
So I'm technically I'm still in the tutorial island, but I'll get it more into it as I play more and I unlock more things. But for now, I believe it's a strong 9.8 out of 10.
Wow, already giving a score.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
It's-
Okay.
I mean-
I didn't ask for a score,
I mean,
but you gave
I'm
it.
just
so.
gonna jump the gun here
Okay.
and just say it's a 9.8 out of 10.
So the first 20 hours is a 9.8. That's how
Right.
good it is.
First 20 hours is a 9.8 out of
Okay.
10, and I would love future games to be give it to me as a so I can rate them.
Okay.
Let's just hope. Fingers
Yeah,
crossed.
okay. Okay, so now let's talk about what I've been playing the past few weeks. And you guys know I love The Witcher. I played Witcher 1, I played Witcher 2, I played Witcher 3. I even played the Gwent spin-off game they had on PC for a while, for just a bit,
I
just to
played
check it
that
out.
too,
Yeah, just
yeah.
to check it out. It was It was
It was good.
yeah.
What
it
was
pretty good.
the good spin-off game that you're talking
It was a
about?
card
It's just
game.
a card game. So
Ah.
it's basically like their way of trying to get into the mobile card game
Oh.
market. So
But how's it doing now?
I don't think it's doing that well. I'm
Oh.
not.
I don't think there's a huge player
Like,
base, but there are
maybe
people.
you guys can correct me on this, but I think it's not doing too well. I'm not
But
sure.
It's still doing better than Valve's fiasco.
maybe.
Their game.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna name
The,
anything.
the
but
one that may not be named.
Yeah, that's for another topic. But so I finished Witcher 3 like maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years ago maybe. And then
You mean the main game?
yeah, the base game of Witcher 3. So but I bought the Witcher 3 Game of the Year edition, which has all the expansions and all the DLC. So one day I was like, I mean, people say the Witcher 3 expansions are really good. And I never played them, so I was like, might as well, Since I love the Witcher 3 so much, might as well get into the expansion. So I started with Blood and Wine. There are 2 expansions, Blood and Wine and Heart and Stone. If I'm remembering
I
correctly.
think it's Heart and Soul.
Is it okay? Whatever it's called.
we're sorry, viewers.
We're sorry.
We won't do it again.
Yeah.
Let us bow to
Shame.
the shame.
Shame.
Okay.
We feel shame.
But I've been playing Blood and Wine, and I played it around 8 hours. Holy crap! This game is huge. Like for an expansion, it feels like a sequel.
It's a whole new game.
Yeah, it really does feel like a sequel. So for people who aren't familiar with Blood and Wine
Or The Witcher 3.
or The Witcher 3, so the Witcher series is basically you're sort of this mercenary who deals with monsters, and you're hired by people to kill monsters or deal with monsters, and you're just like a witcher deals with monsters through like potions, and they have like super they deal with supernatural elements. Okay, so we had some technical difficulties, which is par for the course for the first episode.
Our camera overheated. I did not know our current camera would overheat on a certain setting called 4K.
Yeah,
Well,
We got greedy.
it's a learning curve.
yeah. I mean,
Yes.
we learn as we go.
It comes with the profession.
Right. Okay, so where was I? I think I was talking about Witcher 3.
Yep.
I was sort of introducing what a Witcher is. So, long story short, Witchers are basically hired mercenaries to deal with monsters. They live unnaturally long lives. They're strong. They have all these powers. They drink potions and oils and stuff like that.
Oh, and as a plus, they're handsome.
Yes, they're known for being. I guess maybe the main character. I don't know. Maybe other witches aren't as handsome, but we know Geralt can be he's a ladies' man.
He is.
So Blood and Wine is you go through this whole new region. So there's this new map, new region called Toussaint, I think is what is how it's pronounced. It's like it's very fairy tale like Dutch sort of land. They have like all these like colorful land and like farms and castles and stuff like that. But I still remember I arrived in Toussaint and I was like, okay, it seems very nice and quaint and very bright. The color palette is bright, and I look at the map, and I was shook. I was shooketh.
You were shook.
Yeah, when I look at the map, because the map was huge, and I did not expect the map to be that big. It was so surprising how huge the map was and how many landmarks there were, and I was like, this is huge, and I was like, okay, first impressions very good.
Not only the landmarks, but do you see all the question marks?
Yeah, there's a lot of question marks around the whole map.
Man.
But usually when the maps are way too big, there are always that dead zone, right? Where are the
Yeah.
dead zones? Like how? Like was it like obvious?
I don't know, because like for Witcher 3, if you play through the base game as well, the map is, I mean, June should know because you played through the Witcher 3 as well. It's huge, right? But it's not like there's nothing to do in the game. There's always something to do wherever you go, right?
I feel like there wasn't necessarily a dead zone because every part of the map kind of seemed intertwined
Mm-hmm.
into this whole main story.
Right.
But there is the fact that it is level restricted. You're restricted in that you're gonna get your ass kicked
Mhm.
if you go to
Right,
certain levels.
Of course.
So
And then, so I looked the map. It was huge, And then we started getting to the story of the expansion, and it sets up this. I mean, people know The Witcher is basically fantasy and like detective. Like there are murders that happen, a person gets killed by a monster. You have this Witcher sense, which you can like go around the crime scene and look for clues. And they're setting up this weird like sort of conspiracy of like this monster killing knights of who don't uphold like the virtues of knights. And now you have to sort of like solve the murder. What's happening? Why are they dying? Who's killing them? What's the reason? It does seem very intriguing, the story. I'm hooked because I love mystery, and I love like this grand, especially like mysteries that open up to this like grand conspiracy.
And you kind of have to unravel it.
Yeah, unravel it a little bit like an onion.
It's like peeling an onion.
Yeah, like there are layers to it.
Like Shrek.
Like the deeper you go, the more you realize it goes even deeper.
Right.
Those type of stories or mysteries.
Right.
I feel like that's what it's trying to set up. Maybe. I've only played 8 hours or so.
I mean, Witcher 3 is known for its depth.
Yeah, exactly.
It's applauded for its depth as well.
Exactly. Like Witcher 3 is a type of game where you play a side quest and you're like, wait, this isn't the main quest, right? Like
you realize
Why so engaging?
and then there are so many different other types of quests. For example, I remember one of my favorite ones was the boxing match.
oh, right, the boxing quest.
Right,
like,
and you can
you fight like random people.
and different people
in
from
each-
different
Yeah,
cities.
exactly. That
So
was
it was
good.
like the old day like boxing tournament.
right.
Wait, so who are the opponents? Like, let's see, your next door granny. That's like the first opponent or
But
something.
you
or-
gotta the next to granny was strong.
Okay.
But I think the names were like Bob the Meatloaf or something like that. He's
And
like,
it's like something like Charles Stonefist.
yeah, or like they had like weird names where you just fight.
Granny
like-
Smith, the baker.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
the champion of this village. You must beat him, and then you sort of face stronger and stronger enemies. But yeah, The Witcher does have very strange side quests where you just like go through the land, and so I played 8 hours. Half of it, I think, I spent playing Gwent. Again, I've gone back into playing Gwent.
I mean, Gwent is surprisingly deep for a side.
It's a
Kind of
very,
thing?
it's so simple. It's a very simple
I mean,
card game.
it's deep in the fact that you don't realize when you play Witcher 3, you're gonna be playing a game within a game.
Yeah,
and you're gonna be
exactly.
so hooked on it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why they made a Gwent card
Right,
game
but
spinoff.
It's it's so funny because a guy's mad.
Yeah.
He was just mad at you, and then you're like, "You want to play a Gwent?" He's like, "Sure, why not?"
I love how I was like, there's this like person like, I help look for my missing wife, and like, you up for a game of Gwent? It's like, I.
Always got time
Yeah.
for Gwent.
It's like they're going through this like life crisis, like
My wife died.
yeah, like
Gwent?
yeah.
Aye.
My wife is missing at sea. Like, oh, for a game of Gwent? It's like they nod like, I.
Because it's a way of releasing
No,
stress.
but
Right.
maybe it's saying that you should uphold your values, and that man saw Gwent being on top of his wife.
Man,
Okay.
those
Exactly.
priorities.
Yeah, I mean,
Priorities in your wife.
I just
not
love how
life.
everyone's up for a game of Gwent. You like ask them and they just like suddenly nod, like they just nod.
They just know.
Yeah,
They're
they
like, okay,
Time for Gwent.
time for Gwent. Always got
Yeah,
time.
and I love how they added like a new deck, the Skellige deck, which they added for the expansion, and now there's a whole quest line where this guy made this Skellige deck and he wants to prove that it's a good deck, and you have to like go around the whole area of Toussaint and challenge other people, and if you beat them, they give you more Skellige cards.
Just out of curiosity, what deck do you like to use?
I like using the Northern Realm.
Oh man, I'm Nilfgaardians all the way.
Isn't it Gardens? They have a lot of spies.
Yeah.
So you place an enemy
Right.
and you can draw more cards.
Right, yes, spies and also like infantry, like
Yeah.
that pair together.
Uh-huh.
So those I like those.
Yeah, but so the Gwent, I kept getting back to Gwent. It's fun, but another thing they added, which I'm a sucker for, I love stuff like this, is you have your own property. So they give you a house.
This is just one location.
Yeah.
So just one.
I mean, yeah, they give you a house, but you can like upgrade the house. So when you first go into this property, it's like this vineyard. It's very rundown. You go in the house, it's all messed up. There's no furniture. It's rackety. Like, and then I love stuff like this where you see something worn down and then you slowly improve it as the game goes on.
Isn't that kind of like going back to Assassin's Creed, kind of like Black Flag, where you get this mansion and you kind of upgrade.
Oh, right, exactly. I love stuff like that.
Right.
It,
And then
it feels
you hang your things on the
Yeah.
walls. Right.
it feels so good.
Like it's mine.
Like you see something so run down, and then through hard work or through the grind, you slowly improve it. I mean, I haven't improved anything because it's so expensive to upgrade stuff.
I mean, that's realistic.
But it does set this thing where you have something to work towards, you know? And it sets up pretty early. You get it pretty early in the expansion. So they gave you this house and you go like, oh, now you have something to work for. But from my initial impressions, I feel like this is one of those expansions where I would probably spend 50 hours, 40 hours. It does seem like an expansion. And I'm looking forward to playing more of the game. Because I haven't played Witcher 3 in a really long time. So like I'm actually struggling to play.
to remember.
Remember all the mechanics, what should I do, the controls. So I am there's like this getting to know phase, but
There's actually two things I'm curious about. One is I did play The Witcher 3, but I didn't finish like you did. I didn't finish the what is it called? The
Expansion.
DLCs,
The
right?
expansions,
The
yeah.
expansions. But what I'm curious is I remember in the base game Witcher 3, I didn't use any of the crafting system.
so you didn't use oils?
I didn't use oils.
or
I
potions?
just brunt forced everything.
Oh really?
Yeah. But I'm wondering if are you using those?
I'm forced to use them. Like if
Is
I
it,
don't,
necessary?
it feels necessary.
Like I would craft bombs in order to get rid of those,
the nests.
the nests.
Yeah, right.
But I wouldn't like specifically create an oil to fight a griffin or something like that. I usually just do it until it works.
Right. But I do feel like from the beginning, because I forgot to use oils and how potions work and stuff like that. So I was like struggling. And once you actually like, apply the oil and you drink the potion required to fight this certain type of monster, I feel like it becomes necessary to use it to actually progress in the game.
Okay. And my second question is there romance in the DLC? Because romance is very important.
But the thing is, Blood and Wine is technically set after the Witcher 3 main storyline, and you already have. I'm assuming you've already chosen
yes,
your.
I chose both.
Whoa, both. Whoa, polygamy.
But don't tell them.
That's
don't
good.
don't tell them.
Did you choose both? Really?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay, but there are consequences to every action.
I heard. I mean, don't
Yeah.
do this in real life.
Yeah.
But in a
Yeah.
game.
I mean, I chose Triss because she was my romantic partner for Witcher 1 and 2. So
staying faithful and
Mhm,
true.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my initial impression of Witcher 3.
What is your initial rating?
I don't give it a initial rating. I'm not like you. It's strong first impressions.
Strong.
Yeah,
So
strong.
strong will
first
be a
impressions.
9.8.
So,
I mean, I won't go
so
that
the
far
sides
yet.
have been divided.
I see how this works.
Okay, so now let's move on to Kevin. What have you been playing the past few weeks?
Oh, the last few days, I think almost everyone, I don't know if it's our current generation, but basically, I've been playing Warcraft 3, Frozen Throne.
Mhm.
It's been, I'm sure everyone knows already, it's been developed by Blizzard, and it's a great RTS game where you can play different kinds of races and go against other different factions with certain buildings, builds, and heroes that you can actually go against in a RTS style match. So I've been playing like custom maps where I just choose like the humans, or let's say the night elves or undead or the orcs. And all of these different races, these different factions, they have a different play style to them. For instance, I think the night elf, they're more like orientated around, I think, more ranged units and healing, while I think the orcs are more like bloodlust, just like a pure aggression style like gameplay where you have to keep on continuous attack. And the humans, I feel like they're more like balanced between the two. You can either go like maybe aggressive or defensive plays, or the undeads, I'm not sure about the undead. Maybe the undead's more like how should I say it? Undead is more
Scary. I don't
yeah,
know.
spooky. Yes, they're very spooky.
Spooky vibes.
I mean, that's the whole point of an undead.
Yeah, right. But what are your impressions? Because this is a game where you've played a lot back in the old days, and now
I
you've come back
played
to it.
a lot.
Yeah.
The reason why I guess I left this out is because they just had BlizzCon last week, basically.
Right.
And I was very excited for Warcraft 3 Reforged.
Mhm.
So if you do not know about this current Reforged, it's like a remastered edition of Warcraft 3. So there's gonna be different skins. It's not just a different skin. It's just the overall gameplay is gonna be the same, but it's just like the ambiance. Everything's just gonna be different. So let's say there's like campaigns in like Reign of Chaos and Frozen Throne as well. There's like cinematics. So let's say one of the most iconic ones is when Arthas is trying to ascend to the throne, the frozen throne. So he doesn't have the Helm of Domination, the iconic Lich King
Right.
look. Because like just before he goes on the top, Illidan comes from nowhere. He just duels him. Fight me, 1-on-1, bro. And in Warcraft 3 Frozen Throne, they do a duel. It's pretty nice back in the day. But if you see it now, it just seems like a bad like some guy in a basement made it in like 2 hours. And the current one is a lot different because people actually put like more effort into the overall effects. Like technology has so much more to just offer now, so it's gonna be completely different.
Mhm.
I saw like the teaser how they're gonna remaster the cinematic between the two the fight between Arthas and Illidan. So that's why it's decided to play Frozen Throne again, just the custom games for now.
So has it aged well? Do you feel like it's still a pretty good game?
I think games like this, Frozen Throne, like Warcraft 3 in general, Warcraft 3, another, like some of the other classic games out there that people play might be, I mean, I still play Age of Empires every now and then, and Roller Coaster Tycoon 2.
Don't forget StarCraft.
Oh yeah, StarCraft as well.
StarCraft
right?
is,
That's the OG.
Korea's-
I mean, we're Korean.
right.
Yeah.
That's like our lifeblood.
That-
StarCraft.
Isn't that like rice for us?
Yeah, I mean, like if you want to marry a Korean girl, you have to beat her dad at StarCraft.
Yeah, that's the prerequisite.
Of course, we don't mention it to
Yeah,
the foreigners,
yeah, but-
so-
Yeah, it's
I mean, usually the dads are pretty good.
yeah, they're pretty good.
Yeah, so that's why I decided to go back because I was just hyped up for the remaster edition. And not only that, on YouTube they show like these comparisons between the two units, like the old graphics and new graphics, and the amount of detail that goes into the new like units, even just the environmental doodads and stuff. It's just completely different and more detail. There's more life. It's like a breath of like a fresh air. So even if the gameplay itself might not have changed, the animation, the art style, everything I think it's different. They're trying to go for a different art style, a different direction towards the whole RTS genre for Warcraft, even though it's just a remaster.
I do hope that through the remaster they don't change too much from the original game, is because it's not a whole new game. I hope is one of the reasons is because I came from a StarCraft. I was an avid StarCraft fan, and then I played StarCraft 2. And I didn't really like StarCraft 2 because they changed way too much.
But I think that makes more sense because it's a sequel
Right.
rather than a remaster. You know?
Right. So
Yeah.
I just hope in this remaster it's not really like a sequel, but it's more of stacking on top of their foundations and what is already
Mhm.
there, and just bringing in better graphics, a little
Oh,
in
it is,
more
it is.
depth
It
in
is.
story,
Right.
and not just creating a whole new world, kind of like StarCraft 2. Because I think even in Korea, a lot of people enjoy StarCraft 2, but there's still a lot of people who say and stick to the StarCraft 1.
Right.
And people say originals are
Yeah.
always the best.
Yeah, I mean that's what almost any franchise a lot of people say that.
About what you should know about the current the remastered edition is it's only the graphics that are actually changing, because like the units and stuff I mentioned. So a person who owns like a normal Warcraft 3 can actually play against like the person who has like the remastered edition. So it's just like the looks are different. So the gameplay itself didn't change. It's just like the aesthetics. It's like a complete aesthetics
Yeah.
overhaul, basically.
So how does it feel though, coming back to this old game? Like
feel wise? I think I just felt the same.
no, but like
I-
you know,
It's it's like how he said I play all these old timey games every now and then. It's just like a good way to release stress, just like reliving the old days. But yet again, it's just showing how the RTS genre for me was very big, and currently in the game market, as far as I know, like the RTS genre is not as big as it used to be. There's like some games out there, like I think They Are Billions, some sort of zombie defense game, like building. But it doesn't feel the same. It just lacks like the actual soul of the RTS games back in the early 2000s. And going back to it just made me relive those days, going like, wow, so this is what it was like at the peak of what RTS was. That was for me. RTS back in the day for me was StarCraft, Warcraft 3. There was another, also Command and Conquer. That was
Right,
also
Command
pretty
Conquer.
good.
Red Alert.
Red Alert.
Red
Right.
Alert.
I was thinking about
Yeah.
what that name was, Red Alert. But I do agree with Kevin in that RTS genre has slowed down in the recent years because of the dominance of other genres. But there's still a lot of people who do and stick to the old games. Like I've even know a few people who still play Age of Empire 3.
Right.
So those are old, but I think they age
I mean,
well.
the RTS genre is like the pioneer of esports. Like the first sort of esports leagues were RTS games.
Right. It started there, and then it branched out to like current Overwatches,
Like MOBA games, like
MOBA
League of
games,
Legends,
right? League
or
of
Dota.
Legends, Dota 2. So we'll see how it goes. But I do hope in the future there are more RTS games. We'll see as time goes by.
All right. So let's take a short break, and we'll come back with some gaming news. Okay, now that we're back, let's move on to news, gaming news in general. And I guess let's just start off with the biggest news, which is BlizzCon. Happened a week ago. I know we're kind of late talking about it, but whatever. It is what it is. And what do you want to open up with about BlizzCon?
Well, we should open up with what they opened up
Okay, sure.
with, you know who.
What?
Who is it again?
The president of Blizzard.
No. What's his name?
It's like
I think it's J. Allen.
Is it?
Once again, listeners, we'll be more prepared next.
I mean, it's not that big of a deal.
No.
Yeah, it's not that
But
big
I
of a
do
deal.
know he's
Yeah.
the president of Blizzard,
Mhm.
and what he did was he came up on stage. I mean, we believe his name shouldn't even be mentioned. That's why.
Okay,
w-
I know his name now, but I
yeah.
won't mention it anymore.
Yeah,
because,
we know his name,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
and he came up and he kind of opened up with this apology because it was a long time coming. We were wondering when are they gonna say something about it? They can't run away forever, and then BlizzCon is like happening. So I saw it coming, but I didn't think he would do that. And what he did was he did another one of his PR moves where he kind of came up and apologized, but not really.
It's saying we're sorry, but we're not sorry.
He said sorry, but he didn't even mention.
But I think he says sorry for the wrong thing.
Right. He didn't understand what the crowd was mad about. I mean, maybe he did.
I mean,
But
I'm sure they know. They know.
They kind of like
Yeah.
they beat around the bush, and they're like the exact word he said was, "We were too fast to act,
Yeah.
and to make it worse, we were too slow to tell you
They have
guys."
to communicate.
Right.
Like, the
I mean, you
reasons.
communicate enough. It's just you don't communicate in the right way,
Yeah.
in the right direction. And even this apology was a step into the wrong direction again. So I do think I was just very taken back by this apology because I thought it was gonna be sincere.
Maybe because I'm more cynical. To be honest, I didn't expect Blizzard to sort of apologize for it because, they gotta look out for the bottom end of what they need, which is money, and they can't sort of anger the Chinese market, so they can't really say we're sorry for doing what we did, we're sorry for acting rash, or we're sorry for like sort of appealing to the Chinese market. They can't. I don't think they could ever apologize for that.
What I was a bit disappointed was since we all learned business a little bit to a certain extent to our universities, and since I also lived in China,
Mhm.
so I understand that the Chinese market has a big effect on the whole, not only the gaming industry, but for a big company like Blizzard, and for them who says and boasts about their freedom of speech and how everyone's words and the right to speak matters. For them to just blatantly ignore their founding mottos is just, for me, was a little bit disappointing. But also, if the Chinese market had an effect in their decisions, I mean, people would understand if you come forward with it. It's not the right thing to do because it goes against
Yeah,
your
but the
core
thing is, they don't
models.
admit it though.
But if you admit it and say like, at the end of the day, we are
A business.
and a business runs on profit, and we can't just ignore the massive market. It's not a good move, but at least you're appealing with honesty, and I think that's what matters. But because everyone knows already, the Chinese market affected it. He says it has no effect, but there is impossible. It has no effect.
Yeah, exactly.
It's impossible. So if you just admit it, people wouldn't like it, but at the same time they'll think, okay, you were still upfront.
It's better than what they're doing right now.
It's better than what they're doing right now because what they're doing is basically just
It's like they want to have their cake and eat it as well.
right.
You know what?
You
what I'm
can't
saying?
have both
Yeah,
sides.
Yeah.
You have to either take the hit and take accountable, which is what he said. We are held accountable, which you are not. So I mean, for me, it's just a dumb move
Right.
made by Blizzard.
Mhm.
And I don't think he even wrote the apology himself.
I mean, I'm sure they have a team, a PR
Right, a
team.
team of people just working away,
Like-
writing as obscure as possible.
And I'm sure when it was done, they were like high-fiving each other, like, we did it.
yeah, we did it. We can trick the masses again.
This is
But
good.
like after the stage, like, yeah, we
Yeah,
did
we,
it.
we did it. We wrote the grass apology. But
I mean, as most people might know by now, if they go on YouTube and type about the apology and people's reactions,
Mhm.
I haven't seen a single one to date where people say that was a great apology.
yeah, I mean, sure.
I mean,
You cannot please everyone.
Yeah.
So that's why for even this current fiasco with Blizzard and the whole, controversy with what was it?
Blizzcon, I
Blizzcon.
yeah.
yeah.
Being banned for stating his political affiliations,
Right.
of course. It's a double-edged sword. You cannot really please everyone. It's just something that I think that should be viewed on both ends.
Yeah, but the thing
both
is, I think
sides.
Blizzard is trying to please everyone, which is like
Which is
something
the flaw.
that's
They're trying to please everyone, both the Chinese market and of
Yeah,
course
the
the
rest,
international
yeah,
masses.
yeah.
And it's just like if you are,
I mean, the problem with Blizzard is they're just trying to please everyone, which is like the Chinese market and the international market. And then you said that it's
it's hard because if they just came out honest with it, we would have known what's up.
mm-hmm.
Everyone knows a little bit about business, and everyone knows that the Chinese market is a big market. So it's hard for Blizzard to turn away such a good lucrative opportunity. More so because they have more upcoming games both in mobile and in PC games coming up into the Chinese market. So they don't want to ruin that. But just be honest with us.
Yeah.
I think that's a better move than what they're doing right now.
Right. So their opening did put a bit of a damper on the whole BlizzCon, because BlizzCon is always about excitement, new games, new announcements.
Right.
It's
So,
like a big event. It only comes once a year as
Mhm.
well.
So
but a lot of people, people looked happy, I guess, in BlizzCon. But
Yeah.
it could be because they don't really have camera time for all those other people who are
Yeah, right.
protesting, which I heard there were people
yeah, there were
protesting.
protests.
But of course, they wouldn't,
Mm-hmm.
specifically
Yeah.
give them some camera time.
Okay, so from that, let's move on to the actual games that they've announced.
Which I'm actually very excited about.
So let's open with Diablo 4. So this was a long time coming. Like, people expected Diablo 4 to be announced last year's BlizzCon, and instead they announced another Diablo game called Diablo Immortal, the mobile Diablo game, and it just caused a huge storm of opinions and angry people and
The one famous
Trolls.
line, I think everyone knows. Do you guys not have phones?
and then apparently, from what I heard, is that they were planning to do Diablo 4 last BlizzCon, but the development team just didn't have the time required to sort of show a presentable state of the game. And now they finally revealed Diablo 4. And we played a lot of Diablo 3 together. We've grinded together and played hours and hours of Diablo 3. Like, what are your initial impressions of Diablo 4?
Well, I personally love Diablo 3. I love the grind. a lot of people call me a farmer. It's because I just love farming. I just love hoarding things. Even in Diablo 3, I remember in my bank, I had just so much things that I put there just what if? What if I need it, right? And Diablo, I was actually looking forward to Diablo 4, but I didn't actually know when it was going to come out because, as you said, it was supposed to be last year. But I was like, okay, maybe the development team needs a little more time. And then it came out this year, which...
I mean, they announced this year.
Right, it announced this year, which really got my hypes up because when we looked at the gameplay, it was... The graphics have been, of course, upped to current standards. But also, there was a class that wasn't in Diablo 3. I heard it was in Diablo 2.
The Druid.
The Druid,
right.
basically.
But it was my first time seeing the Druid class because I didn't play Diablo 2. I heard it's a great game. It still is. A lot of people still play Diablo 2.
It's an all-time great classic.
Right, it is. And then when I saw the Druid, I was like, man, I want to really play that. And I heard there's 2 more classes coming up, and we don't know what it is. It could be based on the classes from 3.
Could be like a necromancer,
a
witch
necromancer or a witch doctor.
Who knows?
Or it could actually be something new.
Yeah, a
but
new class.
They haven't
exactly.
announced it yet. It's to be announced, which really... I'm really hyped for it. And whenever there's new class, whenever there's a lot of classes, like in WoW or something, I usually create a variant of every one of the classes because I want to try it.
Right.
So I'm really hyped for it. I really like the idea of Diablo where it's, it's a simple game where you level up, grind, get more gear, and then...
I think it's as simple as you want it to be.
Right.
Because, I mean, like Diablo 3, it can get pretty complicated.
If you
really
go down to the numbers
Yeah.
and try to optimize everything, like those, really, really hardcore players. But we're not hardcore players. We're casual.
Like we just look up guides.
Right.
Like we let the smart people deal with builds and stuff.
I mean, but in a way that's smart because we're not allocating our own time.
To like thinking of the best builds, the best gear or whatever.
We walk the road that already people walk.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that's pretty smart.
Yeah.
But looking up guides and all that, and I think I saw on the gameplay system where they had skill trees, kind of like WoW, where you're able to decide what skills you want to use. And I'm kind of excited for that because Diablo 3 didn't really have a skill tree.
Right.
You just picked between 4.
You had like
skills.
all the skills.
Right.
You just like choose
you
which
just
to
choose
equip.
which one, and then you spec out when you don't want to do
Yeah.
it. So I'm kind of excited for that. I do think it's gonna create more options for customability, and I also heard the stats have been simplified because in Diablo 3 there were so many like hit or crit or deflection there was just so much. But I heard in Diablo 4 it's been simplified to 3 main stats. So I'm pretty excited about that. That means someone who's not as strong as numbers like me, I can actually go in there and see, okay, I'm a barbarian class. I shouldn't do intellect because my barbarian doesn't need to be smart.
Yeah, right.
Right? So that's what I'm excited about.
Yeah. How about you, Kevin? You have any thoughts on Diablo 4?
I think the good thing about Diablo 4, like what the developers said, is they're gonna try going back to the roots of Diablo 2. So the grit, what made it real, like the dark atmosphere behind Diablo.
Right.
So
more goth.
Yeah, exactly.
More gothic.
Like
yeah.
if I'm sure, like people on the listeners here, they might have seen the trailer, but that in itself, I think that caught my eye. Like the Lilith being the main antagonist. So if you don't know, Lilith is the daughter of Mephisto, one of the prime evils, the Lord of Hatred, and that she's now the main antagonist. Like, what's she gonna do? Is she that powerful? Like it's like the mother of the Nephilim. Like the Nephilim are basically you. Like all the powerful classes you're playing. They're basically the great grandsons or daughters of the Lilith and some angel in areas or something like that. But I think what really got me hooked on Diablo 4 was, you saw the classes. Basically, right now is the Druid, as you just mentioned, the Druid and the Sorceress and the Barbarian. Yeah. So the classic tree that everyone's aware of, and just the fact that I saw the gameplay as well. It's not too fast, not too like flashy like Diablo 3 was trying to be. Because if you've seen like Diablo 3 gameplay, it's very flashy. There's like so many things going on.
Oh, but I'm sure it's still going to be flashy.
Oh, it is. But it's like on cocaine or something. Everything's way too fast. But in Diablo 4, there's like a weight behind everything. There, like when you do a spell cast, it feels like there's some sort of like force behind it. Even like the barbarian, if he's on the gameplay, he smashes the ground, and there's like entire like seismic like earths just coming out of nowhere, and actually feels like real. Like there's something behind it. Like these characters you're playing, these classes you're playing, they didn't just get out of nowhere. Because in Diablo 3, they just made it look too easy. They're like, oh, here's arcane ball. They're just drawing out there. It's like there's no effort behind it. It doesn't feel right. It just feels artificial. But I think Diablo 4 really captured the essence of Diablo 2, where everything felt really, I don't know, somehow just the world, it just fits the world. Not too alien, but it is the world Diablo, like Sanctuary or wherever it takes in.
I'm just wondering, how powerful is this mother creature?
So I mean, she's not really
we
powerful.
all know the final boss is Diablo, right? Isn't that
No, he's one of the prime evils, and there's also the
no, but the thing is, the game is called.
It's
Diablo.
called Diablo.
Yeah, Diablo.
Yes,
4.
it's called Diablo, but he's.
But in small fine print somewhere, it says Diablos has someone who's stronger than him.
Yeah, exactly.
Some small fine print.
exactly.
You gotta look it with a magnifying glass.
But does every Diablo game end with Diablo as the end game boss?
I mean,
I haven't played
Diablo 1 was the in-game boss. Diablo 2 as well.
Yeah, and Diablo 3 as well was.
No, Diablo 2 wasn't Diablo. He wasn't the in-game boss, I think. It was something else.
But
Yes.
I do know Diablo 3, Diablo became the endgame boss because he was kind of revived.
Yeah, right.
He was brought back.
Yeah, which is like the whole point of. I think the whole point of Diablo is like you can never really kill.
Yeah, because you
Diablo.
lock him somewhere,
Yeah.
and then no prison is good enough because technically every evil can kind of break them out.
Wasn't the twist in like Diablo 2 or 1 was like the person who kills Diablo ends up becoming Diablo or something like that?
Oh, really?
No, he gets possessed by Diablo.
Yeah, and then that just continues the cycle of Diablo, right?
Yeah, because he tried to contain
Yeah.
him.
So I'm hoping that this Diablo 4 has a new different boss, a different turn, because we've been killing Diablo a few times now. We're getting pretty friendly with him now. Because we've been killing him a few times.
I'm just curious to see how they'll handle the map design, because I heard that they're going for a bit more open world map design compared to Diablo 3.
You can ride horses now.
Yeah,
You
there's
couldn't
like
do that
mounts.
in previous
Yeah.
Diablos.
Yeah.
And then there's an animation from the mount. He jumps off the mount and then just casts a spell. And I think it was in the trailer.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
actually.
I think that's what Kevin was talking about, how everything is much more vibrant, much more lively. Every swing, every spell cast has a weight behind it.
Right.
That's what he was getting into.
Okay. So now let's move on to Overwatch 2.
Overwatch 2.
People were wondering whether they'd actually make an Overwatch 2 or maybe sort of make an expansion. But this is sort of a quote-unquote sequel, I guess. And the way they sort of designed the sequel is kind of interesting because apparently for multiplayer, it doesn't matter. Whether you own Overwatch 1, whether you own Overwatch 2, the servers are the same. Same servers, same engine, everything's the same for multiplayer. The only difference for people who buy Overwatch 2 is they get a new PvE mode. And apparently this PvE mode is Blizzard's way of trying to introduce an actual story into Overwatch. Because I think the problem with Overwatch 1 was that they built this whole world and they had this lore, like all these like organizations like Talon, whatever, Overwatch. But the gameplay and the story had a disconnect, you know? Because in the gameplay, it's just 5-on-5 and a mix of like whoever. Like it doesn't matter what organization you're, because it's just like Reaper could be working with like McCree or whatever. So there's a disconnect between the gameplay and the story. But I think this is their way of sort of making a mode where it actually has stories, where it builds the world, character interactions, maybe add more cutscenes, which I think that's what they're going for.
I kind of also thought when I haven't played a lot of Overwatch, but I know a lot of people who do. When I look at Overwatch, I was just hoping that the 5v5 is a good mode. No doubt, it's a good mode and it's really fun. But it should be a side kind of thing, based after a main quest or a main game or main story that goes with the main story. So I do hope that they create this whole system where the story and the game kind of goes together. And then on the side, if you want to play the 5v5, that's also an option. So that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, which I think that's what they're going for actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because the story itself is so good. I watched every one of their
Yeah,
cinematics.
they're all really
The
And-
good.
thing is, the trailers for all Blizzard games are just great. I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, I mean, if there's one thing I want to applaud Blizzard is for the cinematics. They can probably make a movie out of it, and
Yeah,
I'll
you
still
see on
probably
the
watch
To
it.
be
comments.
honest, the Warcraft movie should have been CGI.
It should have.
Yeah, like
It would have been so much better because somehow real life people and CGI, if you compare those two, I like CGI better.
I mean for like Warcraft.
Yeah, for Warcraft.
Yeah.
So I do hope Overwatch kind of goes for that theme, and I heard it's going for that
Yeah.
theme. So I'm pretty happy about it, but I'm still not sure if I'm gonna play it, but we'll see.
But how about you, Kevin? You played Overwatch quite a bit, right?
Yep.
Does it catch your interest, Overwatch 2, or are you just wait and see mode, or?
I do feel like Overwatch 2 is just. I don't know. I think a lot of people said already. It just feels like an expansion, not 2 per se, right?
Yeah,
It's on the same
it doesn't really feel
engine,
like a
same-
sequel.
Yeah, exactly. It's not.
But I heard they're updating the engine,
Mm-hmm.
but and people who have Overwatch 1 will move on to the new engine with the sequel.
Yeah. For right now, like what they showed us in BlizzCon is like, oh look, Tracer with like maybe like better symmetry to her face and like a different hairstyle.
Oh yeah, they changed like all the design.
Yeah, and like
Genji has a
look at Genji.
he's a hoodie. He has clothes.
Yeah, he wears clothes now. He's self-aware of his naked cyborg ninja body. Maybe he's ashamed.
But like the fact that they made Genji cooler is because like Genji was cool or as he was, and they
Mhm.
made him even cooler.
and
He looks cool now. Like I mean, cooler. He was always cool.
Genji is Ganji.
Okay.
Ganji
okay,
is
that's
yeah.
that's enough.
Korean
That's enough.
for cool.
Yeah, exactly. Okay,
So
please be quiet.
I'm sorry, Mama.
But I think maybe they should just kept it to Overwatch, not call it Overwatch 2. Maybe call it expansion. I don't know. Like this is called like Overwatch, something. I guess I don't know. Like what's a good name for expansion?
Overwatch Robot Wars.
They could get cheesy on that. Who cares? But the fact that they say 2, because when you say 2 or anything, it's more like. It's like like an overhaul or like more like
Right.
completely different graphics, different gameplay. That's what people expect. But here it's just a player versus environment, the PvP aspect.
PVE, you mean?
Yeah, the
Mm.
PvE aspect. Nothing to do with PvP, just the PvE. They're saying, oh, we want to expand the world, like character building and stuff like that. But in the end, it's just you could do that in one as well. You know, just maybe just make the update patch a bit bigger
Yeah.
for the rest of people, and you know, we could just pay like $30 for it instead of paying the first 60, right?
I am curious to how they're gonna price Overwatch 2
Exactly.
because like I feel like if Overwatch 2 was $60 for everyone, regardless of if you had Overwatch 1 or not, that would be kind of weird. You know, that would be like, is it really worth it? Because I do feel like if I was Blizzard, I would price it the way I would price this game would be, if you own Overwatch 1, then Overwatch 2 would be like $30, you know? But if you don't have Overwatch 1 or 2, then, you know, it'd be $60.
Yeah, because what I've seen so far in the gameplay it just feels like one of the, you know, the special events they have in Overwatch. Like what was that, the one with the robots again? What was faction called again?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it just felt like a longer version of it. In the end, like, what are you bringing to the table? Like, they said you're gonna have special talents. You also the special talents.
Yeah,
right?
like there's like each
Yeah.
hero has like different talents.
Yeah,
for
for
PvE
example,
mode.
would be Hanzo. Like you can use a secret arrow first,
Yeah.
and then whatever the secret arrow detects, that one arrow will basically just I don't know, like headshot or like go for every one of the
Mhm.
units. If of course in PvP that'll be OP, it will be overpowered. But I don't know, like is that enough to justify 2? It's just once. Maybe if they had like 20, 30 skills, then okay, I guess it's justifying a 2. Because it's like a completely different experience. But in the end, it's just like 1 or 3, 4 different skills. That is it. And I don't think so. I would not buy Overwatch 2 just for that.
I mean, I guess we'll see.
I just want
I
something.
just hope it's not too expensive.
Yep.
'Cause
Yeah.
if I do try to get into it, I don't want to have to pay $60. Maybe they can go for like $100 subscription.
Okay, we got a rich
That's
person
for another
here.
topic. Yeah.
I wonder.
Yeah.
I wonder who.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. For me, as someone who enjoys playing Overwatch 1, like I do love the multiplayer Overwatch 1. I think it's really good. I just never ended up buying the game. But if Overwatch 2 offers like a compelling story, which is what I'm really looking forward to, like if they make a compelling story and they sort of like build out this world that they've made or created, I think that would be the one that would convince me to get Overwatch 2 if it's a good story.
I think the advantage Blizzard had right now is they've already got a lot of pieces of great stories and great factions and great sides. What they just need to do is connect all those two into just like WoW, Horde and Alliance, or something like that, for people to get involved in and get excited about.
Yeah, because like the only way we know about Overwatch story is basically through the cinematics, and that's it. Like the game itself doesn't really.
Yeah, that's the great thing about Blizzard. Somehow the trailers, like even like a casual viewer who knows nothing about the game, just likes it. Like if you see the like bars, they're like, oh wow, looks pretty great. I just like it because it looks cool.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to the WoW expansion, Shadowlands.
World of Warcraft, Shadowlands.
So you two have been
veterans.
Veterans of World of Warcraft.
Yes.
Any thoughts on this new expansion?
So it's like a ex-girlfriend sort of deal.
Okay.
It's like you want to stay away from her, but she always pulls you back somehow. Like
really? I stay away.
Have you been staying away?
Yes.
I do remember someone playing vanilla, the current vanilla.
Classic, you mean?
Oh, yes, classic.
Level 30.
So, as like like players that play World of Warcraft, I played since like I technically I can say I played the vanilla, but I didn't. I just played like a few days. Okay, this is weird. Then I just joined Burning Crusade in the last days of Burning Crusade.
Oh, so that's when you really went into WoW, was during Burning Crusade?
And even then, I still didn't know. All I did was once I hit max level, I just farmed in one single area because all I wanted was gold. That wasn't great. I just didn't know the market. I didn't know how to really play properly. Didn't know what dungeons properly either.
The one thing that did really grasp me about WoW is when I play a game, I really like crafting. Like professions are everything for me. I'm one of those people who I go into WoW and all I do is grind for mobs for cloth or something like that, and then I make bags or like blacksmithing. So those were the things that grabbed me, and WoW really had an extensive market for that. So for me, the whole expansion I am excited about it, but at the same time it caught me off guard because if you look at the trailer, I personally thought it was gonna follow the path of the Lich King or the Lich Queen, was because Lich King was one of the times when there were the most amount of people, and people really enjoyed the Lich King era. So I kind of thought Blizzard might go on that path and then maybe divert in the future. But when she screamed and then she tore that helmet, she kind of tore
about Sylvanas, right?
Yeah. Sylvanas, when she screamed on the top of her lungs and then she destroyed that helmet, at the same time she destroyed my heart.
Because
what you said, were you like interested in like, oh,
I was
like
interested.
Curious to see where it would go?
I was very interested. I was very interested because she tore a hole in the sky.
Yeah.
And that was how they introduced the Shadowlands, which is the land of the dead. But at the same time, since I was expecting the Lich Queen, I was a little bit sad.
Okay.
But we'll see how that goes.
Because I think when people saw the trailer, like if you go on YouTube, there's like a certain big portion of the audience has like disliking the trailer itself. Because people, like how World of Warcraft, the Wrath of the Lich King, it was one of the most popular days of World of Warcraft. There's so many people, even people who never play MMORPGs, they just went into the game and they just thoroughly just enjoyed it. It was just so good. It was the peak of what MMORPGs could offer. And then Cataclysm came out. Even then, I think that was the actual peak of World of Warcraft. But from there, it just went down.
When the pandas came out, that's when most people...
that was the final night.
the pandas. Them pandas.
Yeah, so when you see the trailer and you enjoy the Wrath of the Lich King, just seeing Bolvar as the Lich King, he's just like a second-rate artist as the Lich King. He's not the real Lich King, but still he's a Lich King.
But he did sacrifice himself in order to keep the undead from attacking and taking over the world. So he was technically a pretty great man. He's a keeper.
Yeah.
Oh, as
I
a
would-
man,
I would
but not
marry
as the
him.
Lich
Yeah,
King.
he's a hero.
Yeah, I would marry him.
As the king, the Lich King.
But like
He just felt so
yeah.
weak.
I mean, he's supposed to be the Lich King
Yes.
technically because he just became the Lich King to sort of hold them back, right?
Yeah. I believe he was a holy paladin, right?
Yes, he was one of the paladin, like one of the world paladins, like a storm or something.
Hmm.
Yeah, and then he took it for him. He took it upon himself to sacrifice himself so that the dead don't come crawling and knocking on Stormwind's gates.
Okay.
So, but when I saw the trailer, I thought Sylvanas beat the Lich King way too easily. But I mean, Sylvanas is strong,
Yeah.
so
Okay. So, as WoW veterans, will you come back? Are you interested in playing WoW again, or are you still like want to see what there is more to offer? Or
I will not anymore.
Oh,
I
you're done?
think I will look at certain cinematics, like there's like cutscenes and such, every now and then. Once in a blue moon, when there's like my YouTube recommended section,
yeah.
I'll get curious. Oh, okay, I'll just give this a click. Let's just see where it takes me. I don't think I'll be returning. I think both of us saw the gameplay. All it said was like a new world. There's like a, I think, what was it, the Valor? Like, what was some faction? What was the thing called again? So basically,
it's like a religion thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't remember. It was like it was a religion thing
Yeah.
where people of different factions can
Yeah.
join up. But in terms of if I want to play, I'm still on the edge.
Okay.
I might. So Blizzard, if you're watching this, I might be a potential customer, but I'm watching if it's gonna be like retail WoW, where they just add an expansion and a new place, and then there's not a lot of things to do, and the end game is just basically grinding.
Okay.
I mean, I love the grind, but sometimes you gotta take the hustle out.
yeah, because the current problem in World of Warcraft right now is that the community's gone. It's just there's no connection with people.
They're catering too much to
Mhm.
the new players that they're ignoring the old and hardcore fan base.
Okay. Yeah. Since we're almost out of time, let's squeeze in one more topic. Maybe because I feel like this is worthy of a topic in the podcast, which is Bethesda and their very strange decision making. So for people who are unfamiliar with this, Bethesda is a developer of Fallout 76. And for people who aren't sure what exactly Fallout 76 is, long story short, it's sort of this service game they decided to make, and based on the Fallout universe, which is like this post-apocalyptic nuclear wasteland. And it launched last year, if I'm correct.
Yep.
And it was horrible, terrible buggy mess. Like nothing about the game worked as intended.
Never
like-
does.
There were server issues, quest bugs, animation issues.
Just whatever problem you think a game shouldn't have,
It had it all.
like.
But that I think that
it
in
had it
itself is
all.
achievement. It's like a AAA industry. They just
Yeah.
have to have everything that
Yeah,
indie games
every
have.
single problem you could imagine in a
Everything.
game. Framework issues, performance issues, server issues,
NPCs,
Bugs, yeah.
NPCs just not doing what they're
Yeah,
supposed to
yeah.
do.
like quest lines just disappearing, you know?
Like items disappearing in
Yeah.
your box. Just everything that you hope a game doesn't have.
it had.
Man, if you ask the game, oh, I do have that.
And Todd Howard saying it just works. Oh, that's so great. It just does work.
And they were saying how this is a whole new game where
Yeah.
they up the whole graphics, and they're using a new engine for landscaping.
Yeah.
Man, the landscapes.
So, from that mess of a launch, and they did improve the game somewhat. So, I heard that Fallout 76 isn't as bad as it was at launch, but it's not like a great game. And like, so Bethesda announced that they were gonna sort of do their best to improve the game. They're gonna add human NPCs. They're gonna add all these features like private servers or whatever. And then recently, they suddenly announced this weird subscription service for their game. So
Let's not even call it a game.
yeah, so this service subscription comes with private servers, and you get like a scrap box, so you can like put your. I guess like it's kind of like how you can put items in it, but every character from your account can access it. Is what I'm assuming it is. But the problem is, for once, it's $100 subscription service for a year. $100.
Man, I sometimes don't know what's going through their heads. Is because to have someone fork up $100, even a lot of the mainstream games don't even do that.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah. Not only that, it's horrible. It's weird that they have this $100 subscription service. But the funny thing is, okay, people subscribe to it. They're like, okay, yeah, I'll try it out. But it doesn't even work as intended. That's the problem. Like the scrap boxes, people put their items and gear, and then they come back and it's all gone.
I mean, they call it a scrap box, but it's a garbage can.
Yeah.
You just put it in there and you think it's gonna be there. No,
And then apparently people go to their private servers and like NPCs are dead. Like
it's not a private server.
something must have happened. I don't know what.
But the realism, it's a post-apocalyptic scenario. You put something in a box, someone's gonna take it. Like you, of course, things might be dead. Well, I think realism-wise, they just got it on point.
It just blows my mind because like I'm not sure what the Bethesda board or whoever decided to do this. Like, what were they thinking?
I think Fallout 76 is it's like Bethesda doing experiments. Like, let's see how far we can take this. Like, let's see how far our fans, our hardcore fans who are loyal to us, will take it. So they're testing out, because I think you all know in the beginning they said, oh, there won't be no microtransactions. There'll be none of that, this stuff. And then slowly as the months roll by, they started adding like these certain game mechanics that will allow you to have like allow you to save up time instead of grinding for certain like items and such. Or was it a bobby pin or something like that? It's some like certain like repair kits.
Fallout 76 was always gonna have microtransactions.
But they did promise they said on the announcement that we will have no microtransactions.
No, it did have
that will affect gameplay.
Okay, sure.
So it's like cosmetics only, supposedly. But then again, they retracted on that statement and slowly maybe just one here. It won't matter too much, right, guys? And look where we are now, subscriptions.
But things like that even boggles my mind even more is that if Fallout 76 was a good game and they did this, it would still be weird. You know what I'm saying? Like, it would still be a weird decision. But because Fallout 76 is a bad game and they do this, it's so, like, I just can't wrap my head around it.
It's kind of thinking how, for example, if Blizzard Overwatch did $100 subscription,
like,
I'll be like, okay, that's a good game. There's a lot of playtime I can play. I can play.
Yeah.
So I would think it's expensive, but I might have given it a thought because of the basis and the foundation that it's a good game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But coming from Fallout 76, which is a trash of a game, I don't even want to call it a game. Is because
I mean, they did. To be fair, people are saying it's better. Like it's a decent game to play.
It's better, but to give it the gall and the balls to give it $100 subscription fee
over a year.
But
still, that's a lot. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot. That's a lot of money for something I'm not even gonna know for sure if it's gonna work.
It doesn't. It doesn't work. That's the thing. We found out it doesn't work.
I mean, they said that they're gonna improve, but that's basically giving my money and trusting them to improve the game.
Like, it's just so weird because like this is something that they should just given for free, like a scrap box and private servers. Like, because the launch was so horrible, I feel like Bethesda would have been compelled to say,
like, we're sorry.
Yeah, so like for goodwill,
But when you really think about it, Fallout 76 is like a Kickstarter game. They have all these goals like, oh, we're gonna do it. Just give us the money first, and that's it. Basically, it's a Kickstarter game.
It just
by a
sucks.
AAA
in my
game
perspective,
industry.
I don't know what they're thinking about anymore. It's maybe they want to ride this into popularity, as in like it's because it's so bad, you mark up the price, and people are like, what? Why? And then they buy it.
Yeah.
It's because they're curious. And then they look at it and they're like, it's still bad. They still paid $100.
There are certain jokes where people are saying because they lost so much player base, they have all these empty servers. And they're like, okay, let's just sell this as empty servers as private servers. because they have so much servers that nobody plays with.
Oh, man. That's a good use of recycling resources.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just I just wanted to mention this because I was just so. It's like one of the most weirdest decisions a company could make on their game.
And it's not even a small company.
Yeah, it is. They're one of the biggest companies.
Yeah,
in the
they're
world.
one of the biggest companies with. And he even said, because their own company, they weren't just getting support from their own company, but they were actually getting support from multiple different
Right.
places.
Uh-huh.
And he even mentioned the places, and
Yeah.
I'm like, man, this is gonna be good. And it comes out as like, oh, everything looks horrible. You're bugging in and out of
Yeah.
the ground.
It was mess. Yeah, I don't know. Bethesda, man. Why? Well,
What
they
happened?
used to be like top tier 1 company. Now they become
Man,
this.
Now they fell out.
Yeah.
They
Because
became
of-
the blockbuster video games.
So that concludes our very first episode. And
What do you think about today?
I thought it was good. You know,
There were some complications.
Yeah.
but-
There were many
There are
complications.
many complications that happened,
Not
but
some, many.
for a first episode, not too shabby, right?
We talked about what we needed to talk about, and we had some good opinions
Yeah.
in there.
And we talked about some good games.
Yeah.
Yeah. We didn't go too deep because like we didn't play that much hours into the games that we played, but
And we don't want to take up like the whole day of their
Yeah,
time.
I mean, like, yeah.
our one viewer time.
that one viewer.
You're important to us.
I don't know why you decided to watch this or listen to our podcast, but thank you.
Viewer, listener, whoever you are, we thank you.
Yeah.
You put rice on the table for us. That one grain of rice, a lot of nutrition.
Yeah. So, any sort of feelings to our first episode? You thought? Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I
Yeah,
always
yeah.
enjoy talking
It was
about
fun.
games.
Yeah.
It's good that we brought this onto a podcast because we usually just talk about this over the table.
Yeah.
I enjoy talking about games, and I enjoy telling people what I enjoy.
Exactly.
So I hope people, when they listen to us, they don't view us as hardcore gamers, but people like you who are just sharing what we like.
Yeah.
So I hope there's a connection there.
Yeah. How about you, Kevin? Any?
Well, once again, just like Jun, I enjoy video games every now and then, and just sharing it with the world. And of course, again, we're pandering way too much to that one listener, but we want you to bring your friends and your other friends, and hopefully more people will come, and just me sharing, like all three of us just sharing what we like is what makes this podcast fun for me. And I think I just want to keep on doing this. Like how long? I don't know how long, but hopefully until we're like on our hover chairs, we're like old men in the retirement
With our
home, but-
cyborg legs.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, it was good. So that concludes our first episode, and we'll see you next week. Sayonara. Yeah, that's over.